hell unfolds for us now in the United States of America.
First of all, thank you.
Thank you.
Link the video, please. I tweeted it.
Your commitment for federal resources to the great city of Memphis. And it is a great city, and it has a great history.
It does.
And we are very hopeful and excited about the prospect of moving that city forward. I've been in office 7 years.
He's
I'm
sending
tired
the
of
National
crime
Guard to
holding
Memphis?
the great city of Memphis back. And I have spoken today with the director of the U.S. Marshals, with the director of the FBI, with General Bondi. We realize that this effort of multi-agencies that will combine the work of the Tennessee Highway Patrol and the local police departments, when we come together, we can make significant change in our city, in the city of Memphis, and that is a powerfully important thing for the state of Tennessee, and I want to say thank you.
This will be your proudest moment when we see you in 4 or 5 weeks, maybe sooner. You're going to see numbers that will drop and plummet like you haven't. Just like we did in D.C., they plummeted. Nobody can even believe it. And they're going to plummet. It'll be one of your really proud moments, and you've done a good job, too. But this will be maybe your proudest moment.
Thank you, sir.
Okay?
And the director, as the director said, the goal is sustained.
Right. Got to keep it.
Sustained crime lowering, and that with this effort, I believe we can get there. We can finally get there for that city.
Yep, we're going to have it sustained a long time. And your people are going to get better and better, and your police force has been terrific. They're working with us very much, as you know. Started it, as I said, on a little basis, and we got it down quite a bit, but now we go in for the big march, okay?
And Director Patel and his team have done remarkable work so far. As you know, the numbers are great, and this will be one more step in the right direction for Memphis.
That's true.
Thank you.
He's done a very good job. Thank you very much. Pam, please.
President Trump, at your directive, we went in, as you all know, to D.C. and took over the city of D.C., working hand in hand with Metro Transit Authority. All of the agencies represented here today got over 2,000 violent offenders, got over 200 guns off the streets of D.C., and D.C. is safe again. And now, Governor, working with you and working with our 2 U.S. senators and all of our agencies working hand in hand, we're going to do everything we can to make Memphis safe again. That was President Trump's directive to us, and it's easy to do when you're working with such great leaders. And Secretary Noem, you have been instrumental in this, and Director Patel has already been into Memphis and gotten so many violent offenders and guns off the street, and that's what started it. And working with Stephen and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, thank you. We've all been going nonstop, working hand in hand together, and Gadi Serralta, Terry Cole, and Director Driscoll of ATF wearing 2 hats, and Pete Hegseth with the National Guard, all working hand in hand and being out there for a month. You can't tell who's with what agency, but for the T-shirt
This is why I
wearing.
said the argument about like, oh, well, why doesn't he actually send it to, why doesn't he send the National Guard to red states where there's a lot of crime was stupid.
Mr. President, Memphis
Okay?
has a high number
Because here is a red state where there's a lot of crime,
of human traffickers, child exploitation.
and it's, once again, another black city.
They're extremely dangerous.
Okay?
And I'm so excited that you're going in there to work with not just the governor and willing local leaders, but also our attorney general and all the leaders that are standing here today to help protect our children. So what's going to change dramatically is the families' lives that live there, and it's only going to happen because of you, because you're coming in. What has started there, you're going to put on steroids. The networks that you're going to uncover across this country, because of the work that's going to happen in Memphis, we're going to see every city get safer, because we're going to see those ties to other criminals that we're going to get out of the country. So we're a nation of laws. And sir, thank you for caring about every single city.
Thank you, Christy. Really nice. And what makes it to me so exciting is the success we had here so quickly. And, you know, we've taken close to 1,500 people out of D.C. But when I saw the result happen so quickly, and so many people are so thankful, and people that you pass them every day and they're fine, all of a sudden they're thanking me so profusely. It was so exciting what's happened, and continues to be what happened in D.C., and so that's what makes this, I think, even more exciting, because we know what's going to happen. We have the people. Look, we're sending in a lot of help. These cities have been taken over for years, and the last 4 years under Biden, what's happened is just a disgrace. So it really has, what the success we've had here has made it to me much more exciting, because I think we're going to have proportionally. I mean, you have cases where it's even worse. I have some people, we have some people quoted today that we took out of papers. We're so grateful for the National Guard coming, said an owner of a Memphis tax service. It's so dangerous here. It's so darn dangerous that you can't get out of your car. If you get out of your car, he says you get robbed, you get mugged, you get hit. You can't go to the market or a service station. So, yeah, I want to see crime stop, and I want to see the National Guard come in right away if that's what's necessary. There's a need. Here's another one from a director of a Memphis-based crime prevention organization. There's a need for more boots on the ground. You have to get them done fast before we totally lose it. They're going to lose it all. I got 2 guns put in my face, said another, within 5 minutes at 2 different locations. Said I got a gun put in my face. Then I went someplace else, had another gun put in my face. I was scared. It never happened to me. I've never seen anything like it. Here's another one. I honestly thought he was going to kill me, said a 60-year-old Memphis carjacking victim. A man walked up, give me your car. You got 5 seconds to get out or you're dead. This is what we have in this page after page of the same kind of thing. Cash, would you say a few words, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks to your brilliant foresight, you had asked us to go in quietly into these cities to help set the landscape, to work with the interagency, and to make America safe again. And we've done that under the FBI's banner program of Operation Summer Heat. And the results are only as good as the prosecutions. And because the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General have mobilized DOJ to successfully prosecute so many violent criminals, we have set the landscape for the interagency to come into Memphis and really make it safe permanently. As the governor and the senators and the other directors were saying, it's not a short-term mission, but thanks to you launching us early, launching us quietly, not looking for the credit, Mr. President, we greatly appreciate your support and the advanced foresight you had to do on that.
It's so exciting, and somebody had to do this. A president should have stepped up long ago and saved these cities. So it's not that I wanted to do it, believe me. Somebody had to do it, and we're doing it in a big way. Pete, could you say a few words, please?
Yes, Mr. President. From day one, the DOW, the Department of War,
I'm glad you made that correct.
has been proud to stand with our partners across the interagency, whether it's the Southwest border, whether it was Los Angeles getting ahead of that, whether it's right here in Washington, D.C., where Secretary Driscoll and the Army and the National Guard have taken the lead in helping across all of these great folks to secure the city. We are very proud to be here, to stand strong alongside law enforcement. We're glad that Memphis is the place to go. The volunteer state, we're not going to have any problems with the Tennessee National Guard being willing to go in and stand strong in Memphis.
Not at all. And get ready, because you'll be doing a lot of other places that are almost as troubled.
You got it, sir.
Some of them are equal. You look at what's going on in Baltimore, where the governor is telling me how wonderful it is, and you can't walk across the street without being shot. Could I ask our 2 great senators to say a few words?
Of
please?
course,
Please,
Mr.
Marcia.
President, thank you so much. I want to say a thank you to Director Patel, because he had promised that he would come into Memphis. We've had Operation Viper there this summer. There have been over 500 arrests. There are over 100 indictments. And Memphis had the best stats they have had in years this past August. Last month, it was the best August they have had. It's because of the work that's been done. And now to have a new phase of this enforcement for Memphis, where we are going to have all of these agencies working as a team, as the governor said, making certain that this is a long-term effort to make Memphis safe again. Mr. President, we are so grateful, and we thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. President. And this is an issue that's plagued Memphis since I was a boy, Mr. President. And it's time that we addressed it. And I appreciate your leadership allowing us to do that. And the team that you've assembled here is going to help us deliver the most fundamental responsibility of our government, and that's public safety. This shouldn't be a partisan issue. This should be something that is our primary goal. And certainly I hope to see Memphis become the safest city in America. And thanks for the effort of all of your team here to make certain that happens. Thank you, Governor Lee, and I want to say thanks
Please
to
tell
Memphis
these hogs in the
Police
chat that
Department
this is
and
not
Sheriff's
needed is
Department
actually a
who've
detriment to
all worked
safety.
closely, to
I
bring this
have
together
a million
and look
times
forward to
over.
tremendous
What difference does it fucking make? Nobody listens. This is not a long-term commitment to safety at all. The presence of military on American streets is not only unconstitutional, but is not even a bandage. It is not even a band-aid to a fucking gaping wound. We know that crime is a byproduct of material conditions. We know crime is born out of poverty. Okay? If you want to tackle crime consistently, if you want to make sure that you erase crime to the best of your ability, now there's always still going to be, antisocial personality disorders, crimes such as that. People who are just outright what you would consider to be like evil people and whatnot. But ultimately, most of the crime that we look at, that we see as the most visible aspects of crime, is often either directly just a visible form of poverty, whether it be homeless people on the streets, or the locking of like deodorant at fucking CVS and whatnot. And the only long-term solution to that is to improve people's material conditions, to make sure that they're not living in abject poverty. If a militant response was an active deterrent to crime, which is a dangerous prospect to begin with, because the logical conclusion of that is the military engaging in these campaigns on U.S. soil, okay? But if a militant response in general was a solution to crime, was a permanent solution to crime, then we obviously would not have any fucking violence whatsoever in this country. We have some of the most militant police around the world. They have gear that standing armies don't have in other countries. The NYPD has a fucking, not one, multiple submarines, okay? It's ridiculous. It would have worked by now. They have tanks. Local law enforcement, local police departments have tanks, okay? Like surplus military grade gear that they have purchased from the American government. So obviously, that constant presence of law enforcement should be working. But for some weird reason, it's not.
President Trump put together a team that saw the largest ever violent crime reduction in any city in American history. Something that people had not been able to do in 40 years. That is a momentous achievement. And now the president is going to take that same model to Memphis, and as he said, more cities after that. The team the president has put together has no equal today or anywhere in American history. I think what's happening here is that what the president has done is made clear. The power of federal law enforcement that was used for the last 4 years to harass and attack conservatives, to harass and attack Christians, to go after law-abiding families. The power of law enforcement under President Trump is going to be used to get all the criminals, all the violent offenders, all the murderers, all the cartels, and all the domestic terrorists off our streets. So whether you're Antifa, whether you're a domestic terrorist, whether you are a violent gang member, a drug trafficker, a trained Irawagwa killer, or anyone else that's threatening our people, President Trump is saying he's going to use his FBI, his DOD, his ATF, his DEA to wipe you out, to put you in behind bars, to take you off the street, or to apply whatever legal consequences necessary. Mr. President, I'm honored beyond words to be a part of this team under your leadership as you've saved thousands of lives.
Thank you very much. Come on over. Let's sign that, sir. You want to say anything about our great military real fast? He's won a job. He's doing this guy.
Mr. President, so our Army National Guard is honored to be part of this mission. This is their community. A lot of them are from D.C. They're from Tennessee. When you talk to them, when you talk to the actual population out there who interact with them every day, they say it's a blessing to have them as a part of their life. And then for the National Guard getting to have this where they get to improve their communities, where their kids are growing up and they're going to church, and this is where their families are. Many of them, sir, have said this is the honor of their lifetime, so thank you.
Look at that nice face, and yet he's a killer. That nice, beautiful face, and he's a total killer. I don't know how you do it. Huh?
Lotion, sir.
Everybody here. All right, here we go.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yes, the FBI claims that they had a note, but then they fucking lost the note or something. I'm going to talk about that in a second with the Charlie Kirk shooter.
Yeah,
Thank you. First of all, you've got a.
Did they take down the blue tent?
Yes, sir, they did. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Last time he
that.
hit me with a blue
He's
tent.
signing a
Nobody knew what
proclamation,
he
a
was
presidential
talking about.
memorandum
We
to send the
found out,
National
right?
Guard to Memphis, Tennessee.
The next day, and they had a lot of. That was not so easy. That's a violent, radical left group. Okay, go ahead.
I've heard a lot of comments for doing that. They still have their First Amendment right, though. They're still
Yeah, well, I'm not.
You've got an amazing team behind you. You've done an awesome job for DC.
Thank
I
you.
want to get ahead of a story that I think might come out. You pushed out an email earlier today, really showing dozens and dozens of local media in Memphis highlighting all of the violent crime in that city. So they have no problem reporting the crime, but when you show up to solve it, they're going to run around town looking for that one person that says, we don't want Donald Trump in our city. What can you say to the media there in Memphis, Tennessee, to help let them know the people want you there in their city?
Well, I'm not sure they found that person, because I saw them doing some interviews, and it looked like they were looking, but they were very, in fact, that producer, that person, I think they lost their jobs, because everybody was saying, we want Trump to be there, they want the people right here to be there. Look, it's very simple. In Chicago, they're getting beat to hell, they're being shot. If you lose 6 or 7 people die over a weekend, they consider that a successful weekend. And when you consider that a successful weekend, that's pretty bad. I had the president of Poland here a few days ago, and we had a news conference. Many of you were here. And I made this statement. I said, we're very happy to announce that it's been over 2 weeks since anybody's been killed in D.C. And he looked at me like, is that supposed to be good? He's looking like, what kind of a place is this? And now it's been a long time. But and as I was saying it, I said, I'm not sure if that sounds good to somebody. It sounded great to you, but it doesn't sound good to somebody from a country where they don't have violent crime like we have. But now it's a long time since that's happened. We went for years where at least one person was killed. Now you're not seeing it all. It's like the border. Millions of people a year ago, millions of people poured into our country. In the last 3 months, there have been 0, as reported by largely Democrats, actually. The border is secure. The country is secure. We've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. And I'll tell you, a year ago, we were a country in tremendous trouble, probably a dead country if it continued. So we're very happy about it. And so just, in terms of your question, people have never seen anything like what we're doing, and I think they're very happy. And they want us to be there. They don't want to be mugged. Who would say, gee, I don't want the National Guard? And you need that in terms of numbers. And also, you look at those guys, I looked at them, they're rough guys. They're, the Supreme Court voted recently on merit. We're a merit-based country again. I said they had tremendous courage to do that. We're a merit-based country again. When I looked at the people that were patrolling the streets for the National Guard and for others, I could see we're merit-based. They were rough-looking, they were tough-looking, and they love our country. So that's where we are, Brian. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, please.
Yes. Given with all the that's going on with Charlie Kirk's assassination and the left wing, a lot of left wing violence going on, do you have plans? And actually, this is a great opportunity with all these people here. Do you plan on designating Antifa finally a domestic terror organization?
Well, it's something I would do, yeah. If I have support from the people back here, I think we'd start with Pam, I think. But I would, if you give me, I would do that 100%. And others also, by the way. But Antifa is terrible.
Are there other groups that you can think of?
There are other groups, yeah. There are other groups. We have some pretty radical groups, and they got away with murder. And also, I've been speaking to the Attorney General about bringing RICO against some of the people that you've been reading about that have been putting up millions and millions of dollars for agitation. These aren't protests. These are crimes, what they're doing, where they're throwing bricks at cars of ICE and Border Patrol. And they come in with a beautiful new car. They're so proud. It's Border Patrol, ICE, it's got whatever it is. And they're throwing rocks at it. And after 50 yards, it looks like an old beat-up vehicle. It was just brand new. It was just bought for the purposes. And they don't have to take that anymore. I let it be known. We'll take responsibility. They don't have to take it anymore. And they don't want to take it. They were told by a past administration. It became almost...
Apparently, JD Vance referenced Soros and Ford Foundation twice in his speech.
You do whatever the hell you want. I watched it so sick it made me. For 4 years, I had to sit home and watch people screaming at policemen and spitting in their face. And
I mean, DSA and PSL are too small fry for them to even care about. They want to tackle like big organizations. I think they're like going after liberal groups as well. They're not just going after the left. They're not like going after leftist groups. Okay, they're going after. Glenn says they still have their First Amendment right, though. They're still out there protesting. Well, I'm not so sure. It's very obvious that this administration does not give a fuck. I mean, dude, everything that I told you was going to happen is literally happening. I told you that it wasn't going to stay with like undocumented or even documented non-citizens. I told you it was always going to extend to all political dissidents. And if you think it stops there, you are delusional. Eventually, this administration will decide that you're next. That's how it works. That's how fascism works. And I've been trying to actively get people on board. I'm trying to explain to people that it's not, the goal here is not just to clean up the most radical elements of the political left. Like, that's not the goal. That's never been the goal. The goal is to silence dissent, and not just silence dissent, but demand admiration from everyone. Okay? You can see that with the way that they're operating right now with the Charlie Kirk stuff. Are there people who have said like crazy shit? Certainly. Okay. But it doesn't stop there. They're not just going after people who have said crazy shit, which again, you could just let it go regardless, right? And the administration shouldn't be touching that in any case, because that's still, once again, a violation of the First Amendment. But they're now moving away from that. They're moving away from just like yelling about people or demanding that they get fired. They want the administration to prosecute people who have not sufficiently demonstrated grief about Charlie Kirk. What do you think that means? It's fucking insane.
And New Orleans, we want to get to too.
Your FBI is investigating the potential role of left-wing organizations in the assassination. I'm wondering if you think if Charlie Kirk...
At what point is it full fascism? We're 2 steps away from full fascism. Full fascism is due process is over and free speech is completely over. Once they tackle that, or rather redirect the courts to follow their vision, follow their agenda, you've crossed the last Rubicon. You've crossed the finish line, basically. The comparison I would use is like the Nuremberg race laws, because at first they want to tackle the remaining institutions that are supposed to offer some kind of counterbalance to growing accelerated fascism. But then after they've sufficiently dismantled these institutions, they will rebuild it in their own vision. Okay, that's how it works.
That was taken out, and do you plan to provide proof that these were narco-terrorists who were on their way to the U.S.?
Well, we have proof. All you have to do is look at the cargo that was like it spattered all over the ocean. Big bags of cocaine and fentanyl all over the place. And it was, plus we have recorded evidence that they were leaving. We've recorded them. It's very careful because we know you people would be after us. We're very careful. The military has been amazing. And General Kane showed me a little while ago the clip, but you could actually see it. But you don't have to see it because we have recorded proof and evidence. We know what time they were leaving, when they were leaving, what they had, and all of the other things that you'd like to have. But we have noticed that there are no ships in the ocean anymore. We're seeing that there's like no ships, when the first one we went, there were hundreds of boats. Now there are no boats. I wonder why. Meaning no drugs are coming across. Probably stopping some fishermen too. I mean, to be honest, if I were a fisherman, I wouldn't want to go fishing. Just a nice, let's take a little trip, because I'd say, man, if they maybe
he's literally threatening civilian fishermen off the coastline of their own sovereign state.
There are literally no boats. This was a boat.
It's fucking insane.
We were surprised to see it. Now, what does that mean? That means there's no drugs coming by sea, but they do come by land. And you know what? We're telling the cartels right now, we're going to be stopping them too.
Hasan promotes killing.
We're going to be stopping them the same way we stopped the boats.
You're watching Donald Trump straight up threaten, after attacking 2 ships off the coast of Venezuela, threatening random fishermen overseas, and you're like, Hassan is the one who actually promotes killing. I don't, okay? I do not.
Speak to you directly to alert you that Israel was going to be striking
No.
Hamas sites in Qatar?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Yeah, go
How
ahead.
did you learn of it?
Same way you did. Go ahead, please.
You mentioned that the shooter was radicalized online. Do you
I think
believe
so.
that social
But,
media
by the way,
companies-
when I say that, that's my opinion. I think he was radicalized online based on what they're saying.
do social media companies bear any responsibility for that? And how does that
I'm going to have to
affect
ask, I don't know, I'd ask Pam that question. I don't know if you or Todd could give an answer to that. Somebody has to bear some responsibility.
You know, and President Trump, I've always told parents, you got to watch what your kids are doing on the internet, what they're doing online, what they're listening to, what they're reading. They're all online. They're all on their phones all the time. Parents have got to monitor that because this starts when
I have a serious question for you, Shy Luna Moon. People online are posting cut up old things like you said. Like when you first started streaming. The way it's cut up, it looks really bad. I don't know the full context because they're from when you first started streaming. When I saw it, I can see why people think you were calling for violence against the right. You've been in here since 2019. You've been subscribed for 22 months. Have I said something even remotely similar to the way that people are presenting? If the answer is no, then why the fuck would you turn around and be like, well, we got to hand it to them? People are just lying about what your political positions are. Like, do you not have the capacity to think for yourself? Do you not have the capacity to think for yourself? How long have you been in here? You have the capacity to think for yourself. If it doesn't make sense, if it is entirely antithetical to the things that I have said for the past 6 fucking years, why are you questioning it? I mean, go dig deep. Go find it, okay? I know there's a video that looks really bad. I know there's many videos, okay? I know. I think the concern is there isn't a longer clip that puts it into a context as an exaggerated joke. Yes, it's from when I was talking to Dan Stalkman, who I was friends with at the time, okay? That's where it's from. It doesn't fucking matter. It literally doesn't matter. It's LARP. It's not serious. There has never been a moment where I've been like, we should, you know, as a sincere policy opinion, advocated to do harm to fucking landlords. They're trying to make it seem like there is a serious threat to Maoist third worldist landlordicide in the United States of America in 2025. Yes, okay? That's it. It's fucking stupid. Yes, brother. Yes. Back when I thought that they were progressive, that they were... And they did present themselves as progressive social democrats, okay? Both him and Sex Pestiny. What are we fucking talking about? Wouldn't there be a more recent clip that you could point to if this was like a sincere opinion that I was advocating for? Don't you think that this would be something that comes out, something that comes across? What are we doing?
Get on TikTok. He used to say to me, get on TikTok. Charlie was unbelievable. So probably, and I did. I had somebody named TikTok Jack. And he'd put that camera. He said, just a real quick statement, sir, like 10 seconds or less.
This guy said, it doesn't matter. You said it in the internet and people will always use it against you. You fucked up, man. You're right. I should just end my entire political advocacy, dude. Okay? You're right, chatter. I should just stop doing it. You know what? Fuck it, guys. Have a good one. Like, what does this fucking take, dude? Yeah, no shit. You're taking it in the wrong way. What do you mean? That guy literally said, oh, it's on the internet forever. I know, dude. I know. People also think that I'm responsible for 9/11. Okay? People also think that I played a role in it or advocated for more 9/11s to happen. A lot more people know that, actually. A lot more people think that, as a matter of fact. There's not much you can do at a certain point. Okay? You just have to keep pushing. That's it. That's it. No matter how idiotic, no matter how stupid someone's positions might be, someone's like negatively framed smear campaign might look like, people will always believe it. Okay? People are always going to say, no, this is what he believes. This is what he did. He dropped Tower 7 himself personally when he was fucking 9 years old. He's the one who made Russia invade Ukraine. There's a bunch of insane things that people believe. Okay? And it's so funny because, like, I'm literally getting... I got a shit ton of people demanding that I get arrested, prosecuted, killed all over the internet. And people are like, well, you know, what's up with this take from fucking 2018 when you're talking to a landlord and you're LARPing. A landlord who at the time was your friend, as a matter of fact. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? My favorite thing is like when people just look at something that is very clearly cynically framed, very clearly negatively framed. It's just like not something that I'm talking about at all, and then presenting it as though I'm like advocating for violence. It is what it is. It is what it is. I used to think you were a crazy terrorist sympathizer. Then I watched you for longer than 5 seconds, Lamau. Exactly. This is the name of the game. Okay? The name of the game is smear people and consistently try to belittle their position rather than actually try to understand what the fuck they're saying. And it's unfortunately very successful in the clip-based media landscape that we're in, where people's attention spans are shorter and shorter all the time. There are more than 10,000 hours of political commentary that I've done very publicly in front of hundreds of thousands of people over the course of the past decade. My positions are very well known. And yet there are still people who do everything in their physical power to actively bastardize those positions, to actively undermine those positions, to try to fucking farm outrage clicks to the best of their ability. It's just an unfortunate byproduct of the environment that we're in. Okay? If you think a singular 10-second clip can truly change your perspective on everything that I've advocated for over the course of the past 10 years, I don't know what to tell you. It's that simple. That's it. Too bad you made the 9/11 comment. I enjoyed your content. Yeah. Do they really think Dipset was Taliban? Yeah, they do.
The American flag, go to jail based on freedom of speech, goes to jail immediately, but the freedom of speech protected them, right? And so, that's been argued a couple of times, and you know, it's one of those things. But you know what hasn't been argued, and we're going to be arguing it, I think, very soon, and that's the violence. They incite violence. So when I saw it just yesterday, they burned the American flag, and people that were there were fine, and all of a sudden they're going crazy, and there's fist fights. It wasn't in Memphis either, but I will say it incites violence.
You need counter messaging, man. Even if it won't turn the radicals, then at least don't let the moderates paint a target on your back. The administration could send you to the gulag. None of the people that are actually putting a target on me right now are fucking moderates. There might be moderates who have been whipped up into a frenzy by radicals, but if you notice, like a lot of the accounts that Elon is actually promoting in his advocacy are all like lolicon drawn child pornography Nazi accounts. Like they're fucking pedophile Nazis that he's like highlighting. Okay. Do you think that those guys are moderates? No. So if you're thinking like, well, moderates might be duped by this, it's true. They might be. And it is on all of us to, I guess, correct the record and to help them understand the much more consequential, much larger problem in front of us. Right now, this administration is bouldering in the direction of fascism. If your concern here is what Twitch streamers have said at any point, really, and not the much larger, much more significant problem that is imminent, then you are, unfortunately, a deeply unserious person. Proof that he promotes pedos. I think the last two lolicon accounts that he retweeted were both, they're lolicon accounts. They're like drawn art. They're drawn children.
Die. And I thought that was very terrible. And I put out a statement on that. You saw that.
Mr. President, on Charlie Kirk, in retrospect, given all of the moving ways that this White House has paid tribute to Charlie Kirk,
right,
do you think it would have been fitting to lower the flags to half staff when Melissa Hortman, the
so you don't have proof, okay?
Was gunned down by
Wait, what? Then what was the post with the guide on how to make a weapon to kill a politician meaning? Wait, dude, do you think that in the United States of America that someone needs to make a weapon? Are you fucking stupid? It's clearly a joke.
Assassin as well.
I'm not familiar. Oh, the
Minnesota House Speaker, a Democrat, who was assassinated this summer.
Well, if the governor had asked me to do that, sometimes you have to say no because it would be a lot of lowering. The flag would never be up. Had the governor of Minnesota asked me to do that, I would have done that gladly.
And given the killing of Melissa Hortman, the attack on Paul Pelosi, the attack on Gabby Giffords, the attack on the Pennsylvania governor's mansion. Why
Damn, who
make
let
the
her
case
in?
that
Who let a real
violence is
journalist in the
only
room?
on
What's
one
happening?
side? It seems to be taking.
I didn't say it's on
across
one
the
side, but I say the radical left causes tremendous violence, and they seem to do it in a bigger way. But the radical left really is caused a lot of problems for this country. I really think they hate our country.
This is the account he's
Okay,
talking
yeah,
about,
please.
by the way. He doesn't think that this account is a fucking pedo
Right.
neo-Nazi.
And we are really looking at that seriously.
Vice President Vance was speaking with Stephen Miller earlier today about targeting NGOs that they were saying foment violence.
Right.
Is that? Can you speak more to that? And what NGOs specifically?
That's the
are
account
you-
Elon Musk
A
retweeted.
number of them. Steve, please.
Yes, so I believe what you're referring to is there are these nonprofit entities that organize, as the president mentioned, attacks on ICE officers, attacks on
Go
Border
ahead,
Patrol
Chatter.
agents, organized doxing
Defend it.
campaigns, which are a violation of
Go
federal
ahead,
law.
Chatter. Defend the
They
pedophile.
break off cement and they bring into riots. They have organized drop points for weapons, organized drop points for
That
gas
account
masks,
literally role plays
organized
posting
drop
as a
points
fake underage
for all the
sister.
materials necessary to launch a riot. Of course, you saw that during the Black Lives Matter riots as well too. So there's this whole network of organizations. And I think the key point the president's been making is somebody is paying for all of this. This is not happening for free. And so under the president's direction, the attorney general is going to find out who is paying for it, and they will now be criminally liable for paying for violence.
And you know, a new thing that I've been seeing a lot of lately, but never saw it before, is they're walking in with bricks and rocks and everything. And the FBI or the Border Patrol or ICE or the police are grabbing them and taking them away, and that's great. And then they whip out a hammer, and it's a beautiful hammer. Really, it's nice. You know, this is not a hammer somebody happens to have. These are serious hammers, beautiful, brand new hammers, and they start breaking up the concrete sidewalks and the granite curbs in many cases. Granite is hard to cut. You know, it's very hard stone.
Beautiful
And they're
hammers.
banging away and handing out pieces of stone. So instead of having it in bags, they're banging the sidewalk, knocking that. You have to see what some of these sidewalks look like when they finish, and especially the curbs, because the granite curbs are very, very expensive, and they're great, and you know, very hard. They are almost indestructible, but not when it gets pounded on for 20 minutes by some pretty strong guy. And then they hand out big chunks of stone so that people can throw them at the police and people can drop them off bridges into car windows. No, we have a long way to go, and we're going to make it all good. We're going to make it really safe. This country is going to be safe. We've got almost 3.5 years. Think of that, 3.5 years. It's a long time. It goes quickly. But at the end of that time, I hope one of the many things we can say is that we made our cities safe again. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. TV, we're done. Thank you.
Here is one of the highlights from this incredible press conference.
That's a violent radical left group. Okay, go
I
ahead.
got peppered with a lot of comments for doing that. They still have their First Amendment right, though. They're still out there protesting. But you've got an amazing team behind you.
So, yeah, well, I'm not so sure if they have a First Amendment right. Like, at what point will people realize, like, this motherfucker is coming after everybody? Okay? He's coming after everybody. Anyone that is a dissident at any point, he's going to come after. He wants to open up RICO cases to NGOs. We're going to talk about that a little bit further. Okay? It's over. The project is done. Okay? White House plans broad crackdown on liberal groups. Some of the highest ranking officials in federal government used Charlie Kirk's podcast, guest hosted by Vice President J.D. Vance, to lay out their plans. Trump administration officials on Monday responded to the activist Charlie Kirk's assassination by threatening to bring the weight of the federal government down on what they alleged was a left-wing network that funds and incites violence, seizing on the killing to make broad and unsubstantiated claims about their political opponents. Investigators were still working to identify a motive in Mr. Kirk's killing, but the Republican governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, has said that the suspect had a leftist ideology and that he acted alone. The White House and President Trump's allies suggested he was a part of a coordinated movement that was fomenting violence against conservatives without presenting evidence that such a network existed. America has seen a wave of violence across the political spectrum, targeting Democrats and Republicans. On Monday, two senior administration officials who spoke anonymously to describe their internal planning said that cabinet secretaries and federal department heads were working to identify organizations that funded or supported violence against conservatives. The goal, they say, was to categorize left-wing activity that led to violence as domestic terrorism, an escalation that critics said could lay the groundwork for crushing anti-conservative dissent more broadly. The reason why all of the very prominent, very visible right-wing content creators and right-wing accounts on Twitter have been actively saying, Hasan, you foment violence. Hasan, you foment violence. Hasan, you want violence to happen to conservatives. You want unlimited violence to happen to conservatives. You're a violent figure. The reason why they're doing that, the reason why they're escalating it, the reason why the reason why they get the knives out is for this, so they can get the attention of the most Twitter-facing administration of all time to play a role in trying to silence political opposition, to try and silence political dissent. Okay? That's it. And it's ironic because if this was a different administration, and we were talking about this, like, there are organizations out there that are violent, that have been prosecuted by previous administrations, both left and right. Okay? Atomwaffen is a great example of this. Prominent neo-Nazi groups, Patriot Prayer, and all these other established neo-Nazi networks are responsible for a lot of violence and a lot of domestic terror on U.S. soil. This is a reality that the administration itself has recognized as well. The Department of Justice also released a study. What the NIJ, National Institute of Justice, released was their own research about domestic terrorism. Okay? NIJ-funded research projects have led to a better understanding of the processes that result in violent action, factors that increase the risk of radicalizing to violence, and how best to prevent and respond to violent extremism. Now, the reason why we're looking at this page that was on the National Institute of Justice government page on the Wayback Machine is because they deleted it. They deleted this study. The Department of Justice removed this study from their webpage. The reason why they removed the study from their webpage is because when they investigated further on what kind of dangerous radicalization was taking place, both online and on U.S. soil in general, that leads to the overwhelming majority of violent extremist actions, domestic terror on U.S. soil, they found out that it was more often than not right-wing. Okay? Militant, nationalistic, white supremacist, violent extremism has increased in the United States. In fact, the number of far-right attacks continues to outpace all other types of terrorism and domestic violent extremism. Since 1990, far-right extremists have committed far more ideologically motivated homicides than far-left or radical Islamist extremists, including 227 events that took more than 520 lives. In this same period, far-left extremists committed 42 ideologically motivated attacks that took 78 lives. A recent threat assessment by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security concluded that violent domestic extremists are an acute threat and highlighted a probability that COVID-19 pandemic-related stressors, long-standing ideological grievances related to immigration, and narratives surrounding electoral fraud will continue to serve as a justification for violent actions. A lot of conservatives used to always talk about, 1984, George Orwell, 1984. This is unironically 1984 shit. George Orwell himself was also an anti-fascist, right? He was also anti-Stalin, but he was, he went and engaged in anti-fascist acts. His gripe was towards authoritarianism in general. Maybe sometimes he got a little heavy-handed, a little bit of an anarchist tendency, but regardless, right? He was very clearly talking about fascist authoritarian mechanisms of control. And this very same book that the Republicans kept fucking repeatedly talking about over and over and over again, okay? This very same book that Republicans kept talking about over and over and over again is actually being implemented in real time. The don't believe your lying eyes, okay? Up is down. Good is bad. Bad is good. All at the behest of this fascist project. But perhaps it's not that strange, ultimately, that the likes of Nick Fuentes are gaining prominence in this dangerous media landscape. This is one of the things that I was going to show you as well.
Raise your right hand. All right, everybody raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I will kill, rape, and die for Nicholas J. Fuentes. Raise your right hand. All right, everybody raise your right hand. Repeat.
Like, this guy is saying, I'm a fucking violent threat, okay? That guy right now is getting boosted by Elon Musk and has been. Mr. Christian right here, Mr. Wholesome Christian right here, is claiming that I'm the fucking violent, dangerous radical. Now, of course, maybe in the eyes of this current administration, they might also see me as the violent, dangerous radical and him to be an ally.
Can one of these women just get it together before I kill all of them? No, I'm kidding, of course. I would never wrap my hands around a look. I love everybody. Look, I just love everybody, and I just hate violence.
Anyway, getting back to this current administration and their priorities, some of the highest ranking officials in the federal government used Mr. Kirk's podcast, The Charlie Kirk Show, to lay out their plans. From his official office at the White House, Vice President J.D. Vance served as a guest host of the podcast, inviting senior members of the administration, including Stephen Miller, the president's top policy advisor, to praise Mr. Kirk while also detailing their plans to crack down on what they call leftist non-governmental organizations. The show was broadcast on the television screens in the White House briefing room and in several West Wing offices. In their comments, Mr. Vance and Mr. Miller spoke in vague and menacing terms about far-left groups that they said facilitated violence. Okay, here's one of the clips.
We have to make sure that the killer is brought to justice. And importantly, we have to talk about this incredibly destructive movement of left-wing extremism that has grown up over the last few years. And I believe is part of the reason why Charlie was killed by an assassin's bullet. We're going to talk about how to dismantle that and how to bring real unity that can only come when we tell the truth and everybody knows that they can speak their mind about the issues of the day without being cut down by a murderer's gun.
Yeah. Which is why what we are going to do is prosecute and arrest and maybe even deport all political dissidents, which is not, of course, a violent act at all. Bro's going to tank his show with his negative aura. I think you guys are still at the joking stage, and you're not realizing how sincere and serious this problem is. I'm going to be honest with you. We are living in unprecedented times. The administration is dangerously extremist, dangerously radical. But because it is the administration, we have this false notion that whatever they do is normal and it's normalized. And I think a lot of liberals do not understand exactly what is happening. Okay?
In the last few days for unity and for healing in the wake of Charlie's assassination, you have no idea how desperately I want that, how gratified I was when Democratic friends and even former Senate colleagues reached out to offer their condolences to me. I'm so thankful.
By the way, this was my opinion. Does the assassination of Charlie Kirk represent a significant turning point in American history, or is it just another incident in a series of politically violent acts? 48% say just another incident. This is what I tried to speak to with all of the different media hits that I did with the New York Times op-ed that I wrote. That Americans are so desensitized to violence that they look to yet another instance, even if it's a high-profile figure, even if it's a figure that was beloved by the right, and they go, okay, well, you know, it literally, a school shooting happened with a far-right neo-Nazi shooting up and critically injuring two of his classmates an hour after Charlie Kirk was shot. Like, they see it so much. Americans see it so much that it's not it's not something that they consider to be all too unique. Like I said, while who Charlie Kirk was or how much of a beloved figure he was for at least like some of the powerful people within the MAGA movement, the expectation that Americans are going to be so desensitized to violence because of our overall inability to address the systemic reasons as to why this kind of ultra violence takes place with regular frequency, to then turn around and be like, well, this one is different. For many Americans, they're not going to see it as that. That's it. The reason why people, I mean, this is still significant, by the way. 40% saying that this is a significant turning point is definitely larger than the 30% that you would expect to say is a significant turning point. You know, the people that say, this was my radicalizing moment. And it's like a guy who has been a Nazi for the past decade. You know what I mean? It's like, no, bitch, this wasn't a radicalizing moment for you. You keep using every moment as a radicalizing moment. You say Cracker Barrel is a radicalizing moment. You say woke is a radicalizing moment every single time. Okay? But the reason why this is a dangerous number is because that means that there's at least 10% that were in the margins that have been, that have fed into all of the both liberal media and right-wing media consistently pumping this up and saying that this is like, this is a significant turning point for America. They are coming after, white Christians or whatever. Like, people are subscribing to that notion.